Hi there, Jen Burley of the Oregonian here with Andy Katz of ESPN, and we're here to talk about the Phil Knight Invitational basketball tournament, which will be here Thanksgiving 2/17. Andy, what are you most looking forward to about this tournament?
Well, I think it's incredibly unique to have something like this in college basketball because you rarely get, one stacked field. I mean, we've had this every once in a while in Maui, Atlantis, but to have two brackets essentially that are loaded for the most part, it just doesn't happen because schools don't like to be in tournaments where they potentially could go 0-3. And I think there will be some good schools leaving Portland 0-3. And so that makes this unique, stand out from the other tournaments that are all going to occur next year. And it just definitely shows the brand loyalty that these schools have with Nike and Phil Knight.
Speaking of Phil Knight, Oregon is in this field of 16. How do you think they're going to be next season? They're coming off of a great postseason run under Dana Altman.
Well, I mean, they're obviously going to lose. You're talking about 2017,
This
18.
coming season.
Oh, this season, yeah. They're going to be in the mix for a Final Four berth as long as they're healthy. That's the big question with Oregon right now. But they've got great momentum after what happened last March. They went on their foreign trip. And, I mean, they are the team to beat in the Pac-12. So they make the most sense as a team that you could say from the West Coast, that potentially could get to the Final Four.
Oregon State definitely took a step up last season. They made the tournament for the first time in a long time under Wayne Tinkle. Are they ready to take another step forward this coming season?
I think so. I mean, I think they're going to be in the mix as well, and the recruiting's gone great for Wayne. I will say this, to clarify if someone hasn't told you this, Oregon State not being in this tournament, they shouldn't feel too slighted because the rules are pretty strict that you can't have two teams from the same conference in a bracket. Now you have two teams from the Pac-12 in this, but there are two brackets. From what I understand, Phil Knight, 2 degrees, Oregon and Stanford, that's why those two schools are in it. But the big Nike school in the West for years out of the Pac-12 or Pac-10 was Arizona. Under Lute Olson, they were a huge Nike school. So really you could say, well, why isn't Arizona in it as well as Oregon State? So they shouldn't feel too slighted that they're not in this, but that's the reason why that the Beavers aren't in this field for next year.
Another local team in it is the Portland Pilots, and they have Terry Porter as the new coach. How do you think he'll do rebuilding that program?
Well, one thing I can't stand is when people say you got to change the culture when you don't have to. And I thought Eric Revenue did a great job of creating a culture at Portland. They just weren't able to take that next step. A great example is when, they beat UCLA in the Wooden Classic years ago and couldn't, build off of that. They had their moments in the WCC. So Terry Porter, obviously a brand name here in Portland with the Blazers, success in the NBA, a good staff. The WCC desperately needs another school to join Gonzaga, BYU, and St. Mary's at the top. And they also need schools to play good non-conference games because a lot of these schools don't do that in the WCC. So the fact that Portland's, in this tournament, they're in the Wooden Classic again, actually playing UCLA again, I think bodes well for the Pilots going forward if they can, build off of it and at least come up with another win and be that program potentially that is consistently in the top 4 or 5 in the WCC.
All right, thank you so much for your insight, Andy, and we'll see you Thanksgiving 2/17.
I hope so. Always a big fan of the Oregonian. I wanted to come here.
Hey.